Hi all. Right, welcome back. Red Storm, Dark Blue Defection, Scenario 1, Red Dawn. This is part 6 of my recording. Didn't think I was going to get the chance to do any more recording before Christmas and the holidays and whatever, but that's me off now for a week. But that doesn't mean to say I'm going to get much of a chance. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I should get a couple of sessions in. Anyway, right. I'll just push on because again, John Brown's got a lot of comments left for me. A lot of it's obviously he's watched the video and commenting on what I'm talking about. Maybe some things I'm not getting aren't quite clear, so he's confirming them. And yeah, there's probably a few mistakes as well to go through. So there's quite a lot. So I'll try and go through them quickly. The first one is for BVR combat, the only thing the defender rolls is a morale check. For standard combat, both sides get to roll. So the NATO side would roll based on the number of undamaged aircraft in the NATO flight, and the Warsaw Pact side would roll on the number of undamaged aircraft in the Warsaw Pact flight. Occasionally get an interesting pair of rolls where the attacker gets 0 shots and the defender gets 1 or more shots. The damage chart, which also has number of aircraft, is rolled based on the number of all aircraft in the flight that took the damage result. Damage, crippled, shot down. Yeah, I think I was maybe getting a bit muddled up because I got it wrong at first, didn't I, when I was looking at the aircraft numbers at first. Yeah, so I think what we were talking about there was the manoeuvre table, and I think I got it wrong at first. But so basically, he's saying when you're doing BVR combat, the only thing the defender rolls is a morale check. He doesn't roll on any of this. Standard combat, both sides get to roll based on the number of aircraft that they've got in their flight. That's right, isn't it? And then the damage chart. Right, it was hunting high and low. I thought it must have been on this player card as well. Yeah, it's just on the other side there. Damage, so I think that's what it's the damage chart, which also has number of aircraft. So that's a damage allocation. Is rolled based on the number of all aircraft in the flight that took the damage result. Yeah, fair enough. So if there's 3 aircraft in the flight, yeah. Okay, so hopefully we've got that now, I think. Right, yeah, so the next bit was about these modifiers, flight manoeuvre rating modifiers. And yeah, when he's told me, he said the manoeuvre rating and the modifiers to that manoeuvre rating are only used in standard air-to-air combat. So that is the case. So these are used. And right enough, I mean, these are called flight manoeuvre rating modifiers. And we've got a manoeuvre rating, haven't we? On the actual aircraft, that's these manoeuvre ratings, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, that's right, because it actually states that they are. The first of the standard air-to-air manoeuvre table modifiers is this manoeuvre differential. Subtract the enemy manoeuvre rating from flight's manoeuvre rating. So yeah. So these obviously do apply to the actual manoeuvre rating modifier. So all them apply to these two modifiers will apply to standard air, whereas the bottom set of modifiers only to BVR. The next one was as you discovered, you should have a BVR avoid marker on the MiG-29 flight. He says he missed that one, so that's fine as long as we've got it right though. And then was the other thing I brought up where he mentioned about the victory, about bailouts do matter, and the fact that you gain victory points from capturing. I think when I looked at it, it seemed to be only capturing, not rescuing, but we'll come to that. But he did confirm, yep, you were right to ignore the VP. I'd forgotten that DBD 1 didn't use VP. Okay. Okay, what's the next one? Give me a sec. Yeah, next one seemed to be talking about my activation of the second Warsaw Pact flight that we found, that we identified. Well, sorry, not well. I suppose it is. We activated it and it became one of the bombing flights, didn't it? Yeah. He said, for what it's worth, I think you did all the steps correctly, even if the activation check should have immediately followed automatic engagement. So I think what he's saying is we automatically engage, and maybe I should have done it there, and I think I moved on a couple of steps. So don't think any harm done, but fair enough. Yeah. Right. Hang on. Yeah, next one was me deciding about whether I should roll between the heart and the spade. It's difficult. I'm looking back in the footage here, and obviously John's timestamped out all of these, so it's probably easier for anybody that's interested in following these things up to watch a video and watch his timestamps. Really, it's difficult for me to then recreate because these things have changed a little bit as well, so I'm watching back. But yeah, he says, yeah, you still roll for the suit which activates. So I did get that right. Then the next one, you eventually reason and resolve just fine. Primary action, then go to the engagement action. Now, what he's talking about there, yeah, I wasn't sure about this one, so glad I've got confirmation of this. And it was the fact that it was this big green arrow, and I think John mentioned this somewhere in his comments before as well, and it brought it to my attention because I hadn't really noticed that. Go away, this is where you start, then you move to that, and then you would move to the engagement actions, which are the on the other side. But I wasn't sure because we had a BVR void marker which was setting the combat throttle and spending a movement point to remove it, and this was going to happen before the actual engagement. However, he says you eventually reason and resolve just fine. Primary action, which is this, and then go to the engagement action. So that's good to know that we got that right, because I wasn't quite clear if I did have that right. So that's good to know. Yeah, next one was regarding, I think this is when we were having our standard air-to-air combat, wasn't it? Was these modifiers here were slightly baffling me a little bit. Was it target and rear hemisphere? It's difficult for me to look back on this as well and work it out, because it's actually been probably a week. Feels like a week since I've done a recording, so I'm trying to catch up with this myself. But he says, yeah, some of the modifiers are only for the defender, e.g. flight is the sword art and target and rear arc, since the attacker cannot attempt to start the engagement if the sword art or if the defender is not in his forward arc. So, yeah, again, if you want to understand exactly what's going on here, look at John's comments. He's got it all timestamped perfectly for you to look at. So, okay. This next bit then, this is where I was getting things wrong. And it's to do with these modifiers. Because, like he's already said, and I've just kind of confirmed it and realised it myself, but I've still not, the penny still didn't quite drop. But these are flight manoeuvre rating modifiers, so they affect the flight manoeuvre rating. So, so there's a -1 there. Flight climbed this movement phase. This -1, and this is what John says, so the -1 to climb should be applied to the MiG-29 manoeuvre rating, and then you calculate the differential. So I've not got that right. I've used that as a modifier on the actual die roll, haven't I? So what that should have done was the MiG-29, whose flight manoeuvre rating at the time was a +7, would have got a -1 to that, so it would have dropped it to a +6. He says you get the right answer for the attacker, but for the wrong reason. But it does when you get to the defender calculation. You get the right answer. Right, okay. For this pair of manoeuvre rules, the attacker manoeuvre differential modifier should be -2, yeah. and the defender manoeuvre differential should be +2. Okay. I think I get what he's saying here, but it's just trying to backtrack and find out where we are. He does see another timestamp which he's got. Let's carry on. Right, let's carry on. Hang on. Yeah, that's fine. I can jump on that next bit. He says, "Yeah, you got it right. +0, +0. As you surmised, use the orientation before you move the attacker into the same hex." And this was regarding the geometry bit, which was kind of a bit baffling, and I'm not sure if that's written. I don't know. I feel like it's. You know what? I maybe need to look at it more before I start making judgments on that. But it's a bit. I didn't find it quite clear that it was meaning that. However, he does say that use the orientation before you move the attack in the same hex. I'll leave it like that for now, and we can see as we go on. So then the next timestamp, and this is regarding this whole modifier maneuver differential. So let's have a look. Right, I need to go back and look at all this and study it all. Now, I really want a bit of time to record this, so I'm just going to go with what John's saying just now. But I understand now. I understand that this affects the manoeuvre rating it modifies the manoeuvre rating before you then look at these. Before there's a manoeuvre differential, you've got to you might modify the actual rating itself, and that's what's happened. That's what I've got wrong. So he says, so the manoeuvre modifiers that apply should be +2 manoeuvre differential, which he says see above, because that's a bit that I was getting wrong, and a -1 aggression modifiers for a total of +1. So the 16 which I rolled would have been a 17, and mean the F-15's also got 3 shots. Yeah, so going back to the table, we must have rolled a 16. They've got 2 aircraft, haven't they? Which would have been modified to a 17. Yeah, I only gave them 2 shots, so they would have actually got 3 shots. So he does say, so you owe Roach Flight another shot at the MiGs before they bug out. So yeah, I guess we should do that. The only thing is, he's only got 1 aircraft left, hasn't he? If I remember rightly. But I suppose we are entitled to another. What am I looking at? Pull off. Yeah, he's only got flight 2 left. Okay. Right, let's just roll another shot then. So I rolled 2. I can't exactly remember the results. So and hang on, would I not need to deplete? Oh, I depleted everything anyway, didn't I, John? Like you say. Yeah, Roach kind of got wiped out anyway, so that's not going to make any difference, because we'd have another -1 to the depletion roll, wouldn't it? Right, let's have this shot then. Let's see what we got. Now, is there modifiers here? It's apply well, yeah, there's a combat value of the weapon. Which would have been what? It's the up close one, isn't it? It's the IRM. So it's a +1, I think, isn't it? And then we did have additional undepleted weapons, and that's what he follows up a wee bit later on. He says, yep, guns are another air-to-air weapon. They also happen to be an air-to-ground weapon. So they are considered an undepleted weapon, I think. So I would get a +1 for that, and a +1 for the weapon. So we got a +2 in this roll. Oh, I've rolled a 6. +2 is 8. Alright, okay, so no effect there. Well, maybe that's just as well, because if we did take that flight out, it might have been more faffing about, really. Okay, so yeah, I get what's happened there. Like I say, I'm not. I think I understand now about the manoeuvre rating modifiers. Yeah, it's become clear to me what that means now. At least I think so, anyway. He says you got the scatter just right, so that was good. We scattered. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure about turning them in that direction, although it does say turn them to that facing. I mean, it seems like it was right, but he said everything went right there, so that's good. And yeah, just a couple of notes afterwards. And yeah, I think I spoke about this initially when I started the game up. I remember mentioning that it wasn't just about eliminating the SU-24s, and this is what John said. He says, so shooting down the SU-24s is just one option to stop them from bombing, getting a flight to abort, or all aircraft to jettison their ordnance are also options which will keep them from bombing. I think I did consider that earlier on as well. So, how to go about that, I suppose, yeah, because they've got to roll, we BVR shoot at them, and they've got to roll morale, they might have to jettison, they might have to abort. I don't know the other ways of aborting. I mean, I guess going into air with them as well. Post note, he says, yep, this game is a bit complicated, but it mostly breaks down a bunch of systems like combat movement, etc. A complicated part is that the systems interact with each other. For instance, as you've seen, moving can affect combat, or even the option of combat. Like many things like this, it gets easier as you get more reps in. Yeah, I can see that. I can see it is going to become easier. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I was watching a couple more videos. Some other people was gamer, what's it, Hudson? He had done stuff as well, which I'd kept recorded, and I was looking back. He was just trying to learn the game, and yeah, it just brought me. He was doing. I was watching some of the stuff about air to ground SAMs and that, and it looks good fun actually. I'm looking forward to moving on to the next mission when we might have stuff on the ground as well. Well, we're eventually going to experience stuff on the ground. I hope. I know some of the whole fun of that is probably going to get taken away a little bit from the fact that it's a solo. We're playing it solo. You know, I'm hoping that there's still going to be enough there to be enjoyable, and I think it will be. I get that feeling that it's still going to be more enjoyable, even the fact that you maybe can't have hidden SAMs and think it's going to be difficult to do that in a solo point of view. Yeah, so that was that. Howard came in and had a wee chat as well, I think. Yeah, I'll just quickly read this. I think you're doing a grand job. The reason I say play again is that as a slog first time learning the rules on your own. But basically once you have the flow down, it's really just the same set of tables in order over and over. Especially AA and BVR combat. You don't really need to reference the rules as much at that point. So long as you understand what the table does, they flow in order. I can see that, yeah. Typically this whole scenario is over in about an hour. Well, I'm extending that a little bit, Howard. But that's just my way. You have movement detection and tracking down. A couple more AA and BVR combats and you will have the flow, I'm sure. Also, disordered flights can rally at orbit points as well as rally points. They are one and the same. I won't spoil the light bulb moment with what disorder means to those flights. Okay, the light bulb is still dim, but I haven't been back and looked, and I've not tried to look up what he's meaning there. So, yeah, I think clearly disordered's bad, and I remember obviously talking about the fact that it needed to be beside a rally point before you could have the chance to remove it. But he's also pointing out that orbit points count. Well, I mean, yeah, we do have a couple of orbit points on the map. There's one away down here, and there's which I'm assuming that's where the Warsaw Pact started, and then there's this one here. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's talking about there. Yeah. But it's meant to be a light bulb moment, so hopefully the light goes on when I find it. Yeah, and I just, yeah. I've replied to him. I don't think we need to go more into that. Yeah, because I'd like to try and get a little bit done here, because that's 20 minutes gone. But I know it just seems easier than trying to reply to John's comments, and obviously it's maybe helpful for some of you that are following just to look them over what he's meaning. But I think if you really want to study it, watching the video and using his timestamps to see what he's, what exactly he's meaning. But, right, let's get moving on. Yeah, just the last comment I got from back in part 4 actually from Bill. Great stuff, really enjoying this and I have learnt a lot. The cards look good. I've just ordered them, but yes, a third of the cost to the UK is postage. Yeah, I was kind of cringing a bit about that. My main worry was that they were going to get caught with the customs and then get charged even more. I think I said that, but that didn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know if that happens a lot. Maybe it doesn't happen anymore. I don't know, but I got a fright at the time it happened. He says, I see you're using plexiglass. I tend to write stuff on it with a dry white pen, which is the exact pens that I went and bought some of. Dry erase markers for obviously the stuff that comes with the solo expansion to mark things off. He says, with a dry weight pen, so for this game, maybe flight routes, targets, and even rules reminders and DRMs. Never thought about it at all, actually, but quite a good idea when the fact that there's all these counters about. I know there was a couple of points where I was putting a dice out as well. I mean, I could maybe scribble a number down. Kind of scares me a bit to make messy. I'm usually quite tidy. Oh, I was watching the Gamer Hudson. You see what he's done to his rulebook? Obviously, it's the type that he does it. It's like got notes everywhere, highlights, scroll. It's all scrolled over his notebook about this and that, and I'm like, I was cringing looking at it. I mean, each to their own. He's obviously the guy's he's playing it. He's playing the game. He's like no interested in. But it was no, not for me. I think I would have to find some better way of doing that. Take notes on a piece of paper or something. But like I say, each to their own. Right, let's get on. Yeah, okay, and finally, just before we move on, which is what I noticed while watching back the last part, and I did catch it and put a comment in the header, fortunately, that and I knew I had 3 other Warsaw Pact flights to move. However, I still, for some reason, had it in my head that... Where is this? I'm looking for the sequence of play. I had it in my head that the sequence of play should now move on. And I carried out checks and I think I maybe even rolled for Draken, did I? Because we are still in the movement phase. Not all the flights have moved, but I then moved on. In fact, did I mark a fuel point off as well? I did, didn't I? I'm as well leaving them in because that's same. Hang on. Yeah, same thing's going to happen. There was Roach Flight and Pulov both spent a fuel point because they were in air-to-air combat, weren't they? However, I moved on through these phases. But the relevant phases are obviously the fuel phase. Track phase, I must have done a roll. I get the feeling nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened. And then the admin phase, nothing would have happened. But I think that's where... no, nothing would have happened. However, I shouldn't go through these phases right now because we're still in the movement phase. We've still got 3 flights to move. But I did realise afterwards. But I don't think any harm done. But just a newbie mistake. Right, so we've got... Like we said, we've got 3 Warsaw Pact flights still to move. And yeah, we've got to decide which one's going to move. Realbot flights in the suit move first. However, we've got 2 spades and a heart. So, we still need to draw. We still need to roll between them. But if it did turn out to be a spade here, we wouldn't need to roll between these 2 because he's a real flight. Basically, yeah. So, well, let's roll between the spade and the heart. So this is just an odd or an even, isn't it? Yeah, so spade's a odd. It is 3, which is an odd number. So that's going to be the spade. And like I say, we don't need to roll between these two. So this one's going to move now. Okay. So we've done that. Yeah. And now we are going to check this. But this time there's not going to be an issue here, I don't think. Because this was only if it had any markers on it. And that flight up there does not. Probably get that in the shot there. He's at high altitude. But he doesn't have manoeuvre marker, BVR avoid, SAM acquired. He's not in any of that state at all. So that's fine. My understanding is we can just move. Going by the special scenario rules. Now, hang on. If detected enemy flight in same hex or within 7 hexes, go to engagement. Well, hang on. Well, yeah, stop, Grant. These aren't detected anymore. Because Roach was, and then because of their air combat, they become undetected, don't they? Ah, okay. But if it had been detected, it says after activation, if SU-24C bombing flight, ignore engagement actions, defend as per bombing assignment and continue on flight plan. Defend as per bombing assignment. Right, hang on then. It's not as straightforward as I thought here. Let me go through this. Yeah, well, okay. Once it kind of clicked with me there. If detected enemy flights in the same hex, and then I thought, oh right, these aren't detected anymore. But then it wouldn't have mattered if they're detected or not, because these engagement actions are for attempting BVR combat, attempting standard air-to-air combat. That's not what our bombers want to be doing, is it? Or sorry, their bombers. Well, they do have infrared missiles, not BVR capable, so they can fight, but they're not going to start a fight, I don't think. And I think that's what this means. After activation, which we did activate. What was it? Dolokov. Yeah, and yeah, he's up here. So we activated him previously. Yeah, because we had a BVR shot at him, didn't we? Nothing happened with that, did it? No, I don't think. No, in fact, I don't think we got any shot resolution. We just engaged it. Yeah. So after activation, if SU-24 bombing flight, which it is, ignore engagement actions, which, yes, okay, makes sense. Defend as per bombing assignment and continue on flight plan. Defend as per bombing assignment. I'm just wondering if there's something, or does it just mean... Hang on. I think I'm a little unsure, just the way that's written. After activation, if SU-24C bombing flight, ignore engagement actions. I get that part. And it says defend as per bombing assignment and continue on flight plan. I understand it continuing its flight. Should it just follow its waypoints now? The one bit that threw me was, obviously not this. This is about MiG-29, but this one, number 7. If a bot flight is activated and no detected enemy flights are within 7 hexes, which is the case here, unless it means if it is activated at that time. This one's already activated. I don't know if that's relevant or not. It says, use combat throttle, move to medium altitude, do not zoom climb, and return to flight plan closest waypoint or resume close escort roll with closest bombing flight with ordnance first. If no bombing flights are activated, resume close escort. That's as if it's directing the MiGs to, like, you know, if there's no detected enemy flights, to sort of go and protect the bombers again, I feel. I think what I'm going to do is just leave it continuing its flight path. Its bombing assignment is to follow the flight path. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to try and use combat throttle and adjust the altitude. I'm just going to do what we were doing from the start. Again, though, let me know, John, if I've got that wrong. So this is its next flight waypoint. It's number 3, isn't it? A3. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just got 3, 4, and then if it reaches the red cube, that's it. We've got to stop that from happening. And one of our flights are out of commission. They've not got any weapons left at all. In fact, yeah, they just need to get out of there, really. And all this disordered manoeuvre nonsense on them. Well, we'll come back to that. Right, so, okay, so we're going to move this. He's at high altitude, in actual fact. So, yeah, I suppose we don't know about setting throttle on that. Yeah, before, when these were not. Yeah, that is. Before they were activated, we were following the SU-24. Well, it's an SU-24 anyway now. Let's nudge that guy out the way and bring in the SU-24 fencer then. Let's have a look. Now he's laden, he's got bombs. But he's at high altitude. His combat throttle, he's going to have a movement of 3. So yeah, I think we're just going to keep him at that. Now, John commented on this the very first time, isn't it? So we're going to move 1. No, you know what? I'm going to keep it. I think what John said was in the main solo rules, it's when you're within 2 hexes of the waypoint, you then look at the other waypoint. But he did comment that he thought that it was maybe being meant, if I recall this rightly, meant to be just 1 hex, because in the solo rules we've got the random bot flight altitude, the optional rule which we're using, which needs to be within 1 hex of it. So yeah, makes more sense to. Are we missing something here? No, I don't think so, because these flights aren't identified. We're just carrying on. Okay, so that's 1 movement, and he's staying at high altitude, but however, this might change him. So that's 2. So he's got 1 movement point left, and he's now going to roll for the altitude change, because if a bot flight reaches a waypoint within 1 hex with no movement. Alright, sorry. Yeah. Within 1 hex, roll 1d10 and check the. I'm stretching my eyes up to try and find that. Let's roll a 1d10, see what we get. 3. That's maybe nothing. No change. Right, so no change in altitude. Now he's got 1 movement point left, but however, from there, he's now within 1 of that, so now that's his target. So I guess he would probably turn, innit? There's nothing to really decide this exactly, is there? I'm going to be moving right in front of. Well, that pull off, that's his own flight anyway. So let's say he turns 30 degrees and goes down the spine then maybe, and then moves his 3rd point into there on the spine, and he's heading for that. We can take that cube away now. think. And yeah, I think that's him. He only had 3 movement points. Like I say, I'm not. The only thing that bothers me is that bit about there wasn't any detect enemy flights. Use combat throttle, move to medium altitude, and return to flight plan. But he was on his flight plan, so I'm not sure if I got that wrong. Maybe I should have been using that special scenario rule 7 there. Maybe I don't know though. I feel like you should be sticking with these scenario rule number. What was it? 5. After activation of SU-24C bombing flight, ignore engagement actions, defend as per bombing assignment. See, defend as per bombing assignment. I don't know what that means. I'm not really sure. That's not clear. But the next part that says, and continue on flight plan. I think maybe the defend part is talking about the MiGs. Maybe it's nothing to do with the actual fencer itself. It's just carrying on its flight plan, trying to reach its target, which is probably what is. I think that's right, because if they reach that target, they win, and yeah, we've got to stop it. Right, okay, right. So still 2 more Warsaw Pact flights to go. Yeah, so there's the last 2, and yeah, again we've got to roll on what suit. Well, it's just an odd or an even, so spades odd. It's an even result, so it's going to be the heart. Now these aren't activated, so he's a generic bot flight. Follow mission flight plan within 2 hexes using Queen movement profile for us SU-24C. So yeah, so back to the Queen movement profile in the SU-24. So that combat throttle, the heart's at deck level. So he's got a movement of 4. So yeah, he's just gonna keep moving. Yeah, I should have left that cube, because where was it? Was it in that hex? I think it was. Well, it shows me on my map in very small numbers. 5108, I think it is. 5108. Yeah, it's actually in that hex there. Okay, so he's got what, 4 movement? The heart. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he's not actually going to reach, is he? 5108 is there, so he's still 1 behind. That's fine. And then, well, move the next guy as well. He will reach, though. He'll reach that hex. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's no movement left, but he's within 1 of the next waypoint, and it does say something about that. And then it says, if a bot flight reaches a waypoint within 1 hex with no movement points left available, still make an altitude change roll. If the roll is no change or descend 1 altitude band, use the result. If not, attempt to change altitude as the first action in the next turn after activation during the movement phase. Alright, we'll need to find some reminder for that then. So we still do the check. There's 1d10 here. Rolled a 6. So it's descend 1 altitude band is a free move, so I think it can do that, yeah. Yeah, it's obviously, of course, no movement points left there. So yeah, no, he's at medium, isn't he? So he can descend to low. It's not on the back of that, that's high, isn't it? Right, let me get a low counter. So that's him at low. And one thing I forgot, because that guy, he done a free turn at the end, didn't he? So he should have a max turn marker on him. Is it max turn? Yeah. So you can't turn at the start of the next. I'll probably just put that on top of them, actually. The thing is, this guy could make a free turn as well, couldn't he? Because he's now within one. Yeah. I don't know if it's really that relevant or not, but we will. We'll turn them to face the spine then, 30 degrees. And, well, that'll put a max turn marker on him as well, won't it? Yeah, okay. And that guy's stayed at high altitude. Oops. That guy there, he's at low. And that guy's still at deck. Yeah. Okay, so that's everybody moved. Right, okay, we can move on now, and we can go through in the next step in the sequence of play. Okay, so done with the movement phase now. Proper way this time. So fuel phase. Well, I've already done. I marked off the fuel for the two. For Roach. He's kind of out the fight now, like I say, because his weapons are all gone. He's only got one flight left, and it's damaged, isn't it? That's right. So yeah, he wants to just get out of there, I guess. And then Pull Off did spend a fuel point as well. So we've done that already. A wee out of turn, yeah. I should have done that now, obviously. But yeah, a rookie error. Okay, SAM location phase, we don't have that. Track phase, all detecting NATO flights at deck and rough terrain. Well, both NATO flights are undetected anyway. And then all flights at deck and in adjacent to mountain. No, this is only detected Warsaw Pack flight, and it's not adjacent at deck level, and it's not adjacent to a mountain. So no, but we do roll. Both players roll on the track table to determine which are detected enemy flights, if any, become undetected. Well, yeah, we're just rolling for the NATO, are just rolling for the Warsaw Pack because the NATO flights are undetected anyway. So we need a. Where is that? Right, yeah, track table. And yeah, like I say, once I finish this scenario, I'm not going to put these out to show. I'm just going to, roll these off camera. Or it's going to take forever, isn't it? Because, me pausing the camera, placing that in, adjusting the camera a little bit, and then just so you can see, there's only so much. Yeah. Anyway, so what were we? We're checking the NATO detection level, which is a D, isn't it? So we're rolling on the D column. Yeah, that's right. We're rolling 2 dice. Yeah. Rolling on the D column to see if any of the Warsaw Pack flights become undetected. Rolled a 9, which is spades, and it's in brackets, which means spades at deck level, isn't it? Or deck at low. Results in curly brackets. Results in curly brackets apply to any flight on the deck, any flight at low on its own side of the front, and any flight chaff corridor. Well, we've not come across that chaff corridor yet. I think Warsaw Pack flights are now out over the other side, aren't they? Because that was that line there, isn't it? I'm sure that's that dotted line. Yeah, because that's where the front markers are, right down there. So they are not on their side of the front. So it's only going to be any flight at deck with a spade. So that's not going to happen then. Whereas if that had been, that's at low level, if that had been on his side of the front, that would become undetected, but it's not. So there you go. He's only one at deck, but he's a heart. So yeah, no change there then. Okay, so that's the track phase done. SAM acquisition phase we don't need. Admin phase. Flights roll for disorder recovery. Now we've got two. That's 13.11, but we did look this up already. But Howard's still got me wondering what he's meaning. Like I say, if it's one of the light bulb moments, then hopefully it will happen. Right. Now there's rule 13.11, disordered state. Now we've got one of our flights and one of their flights is disordered. Flights that become disordered are noted as such on the flight log. Optionally mark the flight with a disorder marker, which is how I've done it. Disordered flights cannot enter defensive wheel and immediately leave such upon becoming disordered. They may not visually detect, radar search, initiate air-to-air combat, or make air-to-ground attacks. Modifiers apply to engagement and air-to-air combat. Flights can recover from disorder in the admin phase, which is where we are. Disordered flights roll 2 dice and add their aggression value. Modify the roll by +8 if in or adjacent to a rally point. And that points to 8.35 there. So let's just see. Okay, it would be on the other page. 8.35 rally point. Scenarios may specify that a player plots rally points. Rally points are specific locations where flights plan to reorganise so they can continue operations. Flights within 1 hex of a rally point receive a beneficial +8 modifier for disorder recovery. And then it quotes the rule we just came from. Rally points may be plotted in any hex containing urban terrain or part of a river. Rally points may be plotted in any hex containing urban terrain or part of a river. Additionally, all friendly open airfields may be used as rally points. I think that's maybe what he's meaning. No, but he did mention orbit points, didn't he? Additionally, all friendly open airfields may be used as rally points. Rally points must be at least 10 hexes from a side's target hexes. Rally points must be at least 10 hexes from a side's target hexes, if any. And this may eliminate a friendly open airfield as a legal rally point. And then it talks about orbit points. Okay, I think I'm maybe going to have to read a bit of that myself. Although the fact that airfields... that last bit said, rally points must be at least 10 hexes from a side's target hexes, if any. And this may eliminate a friendly open airfield as a legal rally point. Right, I'm not quite getting that. Okay. Yeah, it was when I came to this bottom bit, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember now. But flights can recover from disorder in the admin phase. Disorder flights roll 2 dice and add their aggression value, modify the roll by +8. Which makes me kind of think you're going to have that +8 because you've got to roll 20 or more to remove the disorder status. But it does say do not roll for disorder recovery if the flight was attacked by SAM or AAA that turn. Well, that didn't happen. However, engaged in air-to-air combat that turn, that happened. So we're not going to remove them at all. And yeah, the light bulb's not went on yet. So yeah, well, I'll maybe read a bit more about the orbit points and the rally points, just to grasp what's going on there, I think. Right, but because they were engaged in air-to-air combat this turn, they can't get rid of the disorder status anyway. Or at least that's how I'm seeing it anyway. So that was it. Split flights. Split flights, yeah, there's something about if you've got crippled aircraft and that, isn't it? Well, Roach has, yeah, I don't think you can do it if you've got one. I think you need to have more than 2 aircraft in the flight, I think. Yeah. I think to do that, if I looked it up, what is it, 4 point something, 4.14? Yeah, 4.14 splitting flights on page 7. A flight of 3 or more aircraft may split into 2 flights in the admin phase. This may only be done if there's a crippled aircraft in the flight. Right. Well, yeah, I don't think any of the flights now have got 3 aircraft. The only one that did was the MiG-29. But roll to remove shutdown markers, switch radar, switch SAM, move mobile SAMs, remove SAM launch, radar A, zoom climb markers. I don't think I did any of them. Anti-radar tactics, generate dummy counters, not doing that. Make flights ready, refuel rearm on the ground, roll for, yeah, activate A. Yeah, there's nothing else, is there? Nothing else. Okay, that's it. So that's the end of the turn. We're going to move on to turn 6. I don't think it matters about how many turns there is there? There's not a limit to the turns in that. At least I don't think so. Right, well, I'm not got any more time left anyway, so make it a short part. I know still not an awful lot happened, but yeah, still learning, trying to grasp things, and maybe still 2 or 3 wee questions popping up every time I press record, really, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think I've got a grasp of the main understanding of what we're trying to do here and that, and I'm starting to learn, learning something every time I press record, I think. I say we'll still got to find out what he's meaning about these disorder or the rally points, orbit points, but I'll maybe read at that off camera and see if that does anything for me. Right, okay. Well, let's say I've got a bit of time. I do have a bit of time off work, but lots of other things going on this time of year. We also got a new puppy as well, which is like having a having a new baby, a new child in the house. Yeah, I didn't quite maybe think about how that was going to be. So it's pretty intense at the moment. So that's yeah. If the two of us or there's 3 of us in the house, if there's only one of us available, then it's going to like look after, watch over it, and find out what it's doing. As you can imagine. But anyway, yeah, I hope to still get back for a couple more sessions, because like I say, I'm off. It's pretty much a week I'm off. I don't go back till maybe just about New Year's time, and yeah. So and then we'll get. Hopefully, I can start pushing to finish this scenario, because you can see there's not an awful lot more to it. And now Roach is out. Well, the fact Roach is out of the game, I'm a bit worried about being able to pull this off, really, because Cobra's going to have 2 bombers to deal with, isn't he? And the MiG-29 has still got 1 aircraft left as well to pester at. So we'll see how it goes. Right, so I'll leave it at that, and then, well, I'll be back when I can. Okay, cheers.